Hello everybody, welcome back. It's me, Albatross. Sorry if you watched the last video, sorry I got cut off there at the end. But here we are on part 3 of reacting to this documentary, These Little Ones. I just want to give a disclaimer first. Please do not attempt to contact anybody you see on the screen, anybody that may come up in the conversation. This is all just commentary and opinion, all that. Trigger warning contains lots of graphic and disturbing details relating to the crimes against children and humanity. This episode is not for the faint of heart. It's going to get very graphic and very disturbing, but this is important. This is really important. This is the stuff that they're always trying to distract us from. And if you really, and I've, at the end of this video, if I don't get cut off again, I would like to give some of my thoughts on some current events that are going on in the world as it relates to this topic. But I'll save that for the end. So without further ado, let's get back into it. Basically, he just gave like a brief rundown on what the scripture, what the Bible says about like child sacrifice and whatnot, and that's where we're at here.
The practice of child sacrifice, particularly we have mentioned in these passages where God is giving absolute commands to the Israelites not to participate in the sacrifice of their children, to give them over to Molech. What we see in these warnings in the Old Testament that God is warning the Israelites are not just mere inventions. The Israelites are not just making up these gods, but they actually exist. All of it, though, involves the giving over of small children, usually very small from what we understand from the archaeological evidence, to these gods. In the book of Jeremiah, we see a mention of it that it looked like it was taking place in the valley of Hinnom, right outside the city walls of Jerusalem. What's interesting about that is eventually that place gained the name Gehenna, which Jesus uses.
What I find interesting is that it does seem to be very coded in the Bible, and I've been doing some more research on the Bible lately and stuff. It does seem to be very coded. It seems to be like two messages floating around. Like it seems to me, and I could be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems to be like there's those families of like practicing Jewish religious people, families who practice Judaism. Seems to be like there's like two doors, and I guess you could say that about every religion, but specifically you can see it in the Bible, kind of pick it up when you're reading. Seems to be kind of like two different forms of messaging going on, but I don't know, I could be wrong, it's just me. But yeah, it does talk about child sacrifice quite a bit, and it comes up quite often.
The motif for hell. Now, when we think about the practice of child sacrifice in antiquity, people in the West often think of this as some barbaric practice of the world in the past. People kind of like want to close their eyes to the parallels that we have with the practice of abortion. The only distinction from a human standpoint that we're talking about is that the child is not born yet versus a child that's born.
63,400,000.
Look, I don't really want to give my really get into it on this. Is a very heated topic. It always has been historically. I don't really think that you know, let's just ignore the politics of it for a minute. This has nothing to do with whether we think it should be legal or not, okay? We're going to ignore the politics of it for a moment and just focus on the spirituality. Forget for a minute whether or not a woman has the ability to do it, and think in terms along the line of what would drive her to do it, what drove the situation to begin with, and this and that and the other, the things that everyone keeps ignoring. You know what I mean? Like there's so I don't know. I don't like politics. I don't like the stickiness of politics, and I don't really want to hear about that. I'm more worried about what they're talking about, like the actual ritualistic part. What are the elites getting out of this? You know what I mean? Out of all these aborted babies, like what exactly are they getting out of this? Because these aren't just some like girls in like a difficult time. Like we're talking about a lot of aborted babies. We're talking about a lot. So it is, you know, it's something to consider. I'm just saying.
159,781 total abortions since 1973. What if instead of sacrificing children to the sound of beating drums on blazing altars, they merely concealed themselves in discreet brick buildings? with forceps and vacuum pumps. In 1984, one of the most disturbing and
trigger warning, this is a very, very dark story, and I am shocked. I never heard of this story until I had seen this on this documentary. And this is where we got cut off on the last video. I was like absolutely horrified. But you will see. I just wanted to give a trigger warning. It's about to get really dark.
reported cases of child sacrifice was discovered in a Los Angeles shipyard. In a repossessed shipping container, workers discovered over 16,500 aborted babies.
One of them fell down and hit me right in front of my feet. And it was open.
So many questions. What were they doing in a shipping container? Why were they in a shipping container? Where were they shipping them to? Like, there are proper protocols for disposing of things like this, of this nature. And that's what I'm curious about. Where were they getting shipped to? Were they being preserved? Like, what is going on with that? Were they just thrown in the tractor trailer? Like, what in the world? It is wild. It is wild.
Up, and there it was. It was a mutilated body. And the more closer I looked at it, it was a human body.
And when I came to work the following day, I saw it myself. I couldn't believe it. And just little bitty babies, just all quarter pieces. Their heads chopped off, arms, legs.
And as bizarre and
that is strange. Like, what were they doing to these babies? Cutting off like their arms and their limbs? Like, were they actually doing? Anyways, let's continue.
As that sounds, in December of 2020, Indiana authorities discovered a total of 2,411 medically preserved fetal remains in the possession of Dr. Ulrich Klopfer. There seems to be no...
So, what? Okay, I'm going to have to watch further.
Logical explanation for such a volume of deceased babies, until you learn that each one can yield thousands of dollars when sold to various institutions.
Planned Parenthood is accused of some disturbing crimes today. Anti-abortion activists released an undercover video filmed last year. It claims to show a senior official discussing how the organization sells aborted baby parts.
The value of the fetal brains alone in that container was $35 million. Yes, $35 million.
I see. So they had to have been in like some kind of state of preservation, that shipping container, because like the way that you saw those guys on that interview talk about it, they talked about it as if they were just like lying there, like thrown in there. Like they literally just, when they opened the door, they just fell out at their feet. So how could that be worth anything? Like, what? It is so confusing.
The official narrative is that they were preserved due to an inability to properly dispose of them at the time of abortion. A far more reasonable conclusion is that they were moving product. In the past, sacrifices to Moloch might yield better crops or victory in battle. This evil has evolved into a capitalist enterprise where the blood of these little ones translates into millions in profit.
Perhaps the particulars have changed over time, but the spirit is still the same, and it has a thread throughout history. We're going to sacrifice this child so we can get what we want in return. So the question is Moloch being paid today? Our archaeological research shows definitively that this practice took place for over centuries. So why in the world would we think that it wouldn't persist today?
Yeah, it's interesting. And like a lot of the basis for what's going on now seems to have some like ties to these deities like Baal and Moloch. But like I said, wait till the end, we'll get more into that. But there is clearly like some entity or deity that I don't want to say is not physical, but like they clearly Clearly, it's something that lives a very long time, that's been around a long time, that possibly maybe isn't even in our physical reality. That's what it's starting to sound like to me. But the other part of me kind of, when you read some of these ancient texts and things, it's worded in such a way like the deity is like right there a lot of the times. Not all the time, but it's like the deity is right there and only certain people can like see it and talk to it. It's very so, it's just something to consider. Oh crap, hold on. Okay, here we go.
My name is Brandy Brassell. I work with Warrior Bride Ministries. We are a ministry that we minister inner healing and deliverance, but we specialize in some of the most traumatized survivors of satanic ritual abuse and human trafficking. I think that satanic ritual abuse is a lot greater and a bigger problem than most realize, and probably even myself submersed in it as I am. Every neighborhood with 250 homes in it, 14 had satanic ritual abuse taking place. We had a client come in that his grandmother had brought him in. He was, from what I understand, fairly high up in ranking in a satanic, congregation or coven. And he talked about killings and murders and rituals that he had experienced. And an army. He spoke of it like it was an army, because it is. The enemy is after our children at whatever cost and whatever avenue he can get to them at.
I'm a satanic ritual abuse survivor. The Christian church says all the time that they fight an enemy, but I don't think they're aware of how organized and strategic the enemy that they're fighting is. That there is
No, it's because the Christians in the church are conditioned to be complacent and to just accept it as a fact of life rather than to actually fight it. They go to their congregations, they're comfortable with their congregations, they never once try to reach out to anybody that actually needs it. And in fact, when someone who actually may need it comes in, they reject them. Not every church, no, not every church, but a lot of them, because you know what? The same God that they're worshiping in those churches is Satan. I hate to say it, but it is. Like, the real God doesn't need to be worshipped because it's God. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that in this. I told myself I wouldn't get into that, but I can't help it. It's getting on my nerves. It's like, you like all these people who are like exposing like the satanic ritual abuse and all this other stuff. It's like they always for some reason think that Christianity and Catholicism are somehow above this. Like, hello, have you forgotten about how many Catholic priests, how many little boys they harmed over the years for how many hundreds of years? Like, stop it. Like, they're not, it's all part of this. Anyway.
intentional plan to break their children. An entire war for their offspring.
The things I've heard from our survivors are the very things that you read about in Deuteronomy, with the children being passed through the fire to Moloch. It's not something new. It's been happening. It's for ages. and people want to stick their head in the sand and act like it's not happening, or this is not true, or it's made up, or it's a conspiracy. I've met too many people with the same story from different places all over the world. We've got clients in New Zealand and in Canada that tell a very similar story, and there's no way that they could have made that up. They're too similar in circumstances. The rituals are the same. The torture and the trauma is the same.
We started investigating these secret satanic cults when a British Member of Parliament linked them with the ritual murder of children. In this day and age, it sounded too far-fetched, as did suggestions that the same thing might be happening in Australia. But then we met Teresa. Teresa is now 15. But at the age of 2, she was left in the care of this woman, the grandma she called Nan. And that, she says, is when her torment started.
During these ceremonies, was Satan, the devil, ever referred to?
He was called Lucifer.
What did they say about the devil, about Lucifer?
That killing the people made him happy.
Sacrifices to please the devil. According to Teresa, the worst rituals took place at a house, somewhere in the country.
It was big, expensive. From the front, it looked like a castle. It had a long drive and big double wooden doors.
Do you think they were rich people then?
Very rich.
People don't understand how organized it is. There's a satanic calendar. Grand climaxes happen 4 times a year.
Let me guess. They happen during the solstices and the equinoxes. Just a guess. Let's see if I'm right.
Festivals, think of your Christmas, your Easter, big holidays. We're talking major rituals, the September marriage to the beast ceremony. And if you look at the dates, the majority of kidnappings in the United States happen a week before, because there's a preparation. Each satanic holiday requires a specific sacrifice, whether it be blood or sex or an animal.
Another thing I noticed seems to be around these solstices and equinoxes is always when like those famous deaths happen. Like one just happened today or yesterday, Chuck Norris, and it's March. You know what I mean? The spring equinox. So I mean, it's a pattern. It seems to be like as far as like the famous ones, it seems to be like they mostly happen in like well, in all of them, in all these, the solstices and equinoxes, but I have noticed like a significant more of them happen in the summer for whatever reason. The summer solstice seems to be like a really big holiday that these evil folks like. Anyway.
Newborn babies, whatever they needed for blood.
Let me get this right now. Are you saying that you saw more than one person killed in that house?
Yeah. I've seen loads of babies killed there, just newborn babies, or aborted ones which were only small. 4-year-olds. Any age, really.
1/6 of Georgia has 37 commons. 4 grand climaxes a year that require the sacrifice of a child or a woman. That's a lot of people.
Where do the kids come from? The majority that are used for this.
People don't want to know that answer.
Games.
If you're finding this hard to believe, so did I at first.
If there is an expert on satanic cults, it would have to be him.
Do you believe Teresa's story?
I believe Teresa's story. It's exactly the same story as I've heard from men who says they've done it.
You've dealt with other cases like hers?
Yes.
21 cases like hers, he says, in the past 2 years alone.
Themes like they were put in boxes with spiders and worms, where they were trapped in fear, where there was a high use of excrement and urine, where there was talk of human sacrifice.
Take just one of those rituals, putting children in boxes with spiders and worms. Now, listen to what Teresa told her mother.
And they had a coffin-like box that children were put in with spiders and snakes and the lid shut and left in there.
Did you ever encounter a dream come ritual?
Growing up, yes.
What was that?
What was that like? It was the brutal torture of children within an inch of their life.
This is the artwork displayed in the home of Tony Podesta, a DNC super lobbyist.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's not just him too. It's like all these like elites have like this weird, creepy artwork. And that's why I'm really suspicious about like these like Harajuku dolls and things like that. It's like they're making like the red line. They're making it go further and further and further. Because think about it. It's like the kids and like they get younger and younger and younger. It used to be, you know, it was the thing, you know, men were just into younger adult women, you know what I mean? And then it got a little younger, like from college age women, or not just women either, men too. From college age, it went to then the high school age, you know what I mean? Then there are all these like sexy high school musicals, high school musical, high school movies, you know, the whole fad of when they were about where like it was all these high school kids like acting like adults, you know what I mean, like sleeping with each other and things like that, like almost like portrayed like it was normal for teenagers to act that way until, you know, and then it's just like the bar, and then it keeps getting lower. Then they started sexualizing all these like middle schoolers and stuff. Then it was all these middle school kids like dressing inappropriately and stuff. These girls who ended up becoming big famous singers who started as middle schoolers being overly sexualized and stuff. And then now you look at like, just go into a store and go look at those, LOL dolls and the Harajuku dolls and the little ones specifically. You'll have these little toddler size LOL dolls, and don't tell me that they're not supposed to be toddlers, because they are, because they'll come with like an adult version of them too sometimes. So these are very clearly supposed to represent toddlers, and they'll be wearing like things like fishnets, lipstick, and one of them even like had a tattoo on her thigh, and like they're supposed to be toddlers. Like they don't even have like boobs on them. Like their body isn't even shaped like a woman at all. Because why? Because they're toddlers. So it's this big giant, they're trying to get us used to it. They're trying to get us to literally be okay with our children getting taken advantage of, getting sexualized, getting exploited. They want us all to be okay with it. And most people actually are okay with it. As long as they're not happening to their child, they're okay with it. It's sick, I know, and it's disturbing, but it's a spell. It's a spell that's cast over society. It literally is. Because it's funny, people get so riled up when someone cuts them off in traffic. They'll get so riled up over all these other little things, like when they lose money to a vending machine. But when you see someone snatch a kid off the street and run away, people just keep walking like nothing. Nothing. That's what they've been grooming us for this whole time. And it's just, oh my God, it's just so sad, just the amount of lies and propaganda that people are being told. It just makes me sick. And anyways, let's continue with this. I don't know how much more of this documentary I can take, guys, but I'm going to try to make it through it. It's hard. It's rough.
This life imitating art? Or is this art imitating life? And the bigger question,
what the fuck
who are the
is that?
faces in these paintings? And where do they come from? And what if your neighborhood pizza parlor had an art showing like this? It makes you wonder, are we the crazy ones?
Yeah, really. Here we go. pause for a minute. Go ahead and look at these words. These are all like the code words that they use that are clearly not being used in their correct context, okay? Like pizza was one of them, hence that's where the name Pizzagate came from. We talked about that extensively on this channel. So there was about 149 in the Podesta emails, about 149 references to pizza, 73 references to hot dog, 83 to cheese, 78 pasta, 41 sauce, 84 ice cream, and 47 walnut references on very bizarre content.